Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Janava Danandana Danandana Unatira Vanita Jaya Radha Madhava Krishna Hare Rama Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jai Vishwapada Paramahansa Padipakacharya Saraswati Bharya Satmaka Sangasam Shri Gurudev Jai Vishwapada Paramahansa Padipakacharya Saraswati Bharya Satmaka Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ISKCON Divinity from the Church of Prabhupada ISKCON Guru Vinchiju Shri Shri Radhagiri Gauritaja Giraj Maharaj Ki Jai Gaur Bhakti Srimad Bhagavatam Ji. So again, welcome everyone to this morning's Bhagavatam class. We'll start with reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. Matthew, you can share the screen and start reading. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm sharing the screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. We're reading from Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Because of Prabhupada's presence and the words that he spoke there and the kirtanas, everyone was already referring to the storefront as the temple. But still, it was just a bare, squalid storefront. The inspiration to decorate the place came from the Maud Street boys. Howard, Keith, and Wally devised a scheme to surprise the Swami when he came to the evening kirtan. Wally removed the curtains from the apartment, took them to the laundromat where they turned into water dark brown from filth, and then dyed them purple. The Maud Street apartment was decorated with posters, paintings, and large decorative silk hangings that Howard and Keith had brought back from India. The boys gathered up all their pictures, tapestries, incense burners, and other paraphernalia and took them along with the purple curtains to the storefront, where they began their day of decorating. At the storefront, the boys constructed a wooden platform for Prabhupada to sit on and covered it with old velvet cloth. Behind the platform, on the rear wall between the two windows to the courtyard, they hung the purple curtains flanked by a pair of orange ones. Against one orange panel, just above Swamiji's seating place, they hung a large original painting of Radha and Krishna on a circular canvas that James Green had done. Prabhupada had commissioned James, giving him the dust jacket from his Srimad Bhagavatam, with its crude Indian drawing as a model. The figures of Radha and Krishna were somewhat abstract, but the Lower East Side critics who frequented the storefront hailed the work as a wonderful achievement. Keith and Howard were less confident that Prabhupada would approve of their paintings and prints from India, so they hung them near the street side of the temple, away from Swamiji's seat. One of these prints, well known in India, was of Hanuman carrying a mountain through the sky to Lord Ramachandra. The boys had no idea what kind of being Hanuman was. They thought perhaps he was a cat because of the shape of his upper lip. Then there was the picture of a male person with 6 arms. 2 arms painted greenish held a bow and arrow, another pair bluish held a flute, and the third pair golden held a stick and bowl. Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, I will stop here.
Thank you. Thank you, Shamalaji. So we'll start Bhagavatam class. So again, welcome to everyone to join a bit later. Before we start, I have a reminder. I'm just doing this as a service to the Vaishnavas. And although I'm not qualified, I'm just doing this as for my own purification. So if there's any remiss or any letter, please let me know so I can correct it. Thank you for giving this opportunity to me. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So we'll start today. We are reading from Canto 4, chapter 25, text number 29. So we'll start with text recitation, and then we'll go to synonyms, translation, and purport. So I'll start with it. The verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nasam Paravi Anantam Bhuvispaka. Purimimam Vira Varena Sakam. Arhasi Alankartam Abhadha Karmana. Lokam Param Siva Yajna Pumsa. Again. Nasam Varavi Anyatma Bhuvisparka. Purimimam Vira Varena Sakam. Arhasi Alankartam Abhadham Karmana. Lokam Parim Sri Eva Yajna Pumsa. Anybody would like to recite?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you. Thank you, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Nasham Baruru Annatama Bhubi Sprika Purim Imam Vira Varena Shakam Arhashi Alankartum Abhadra Karmana Lokam Param Sri Eva Yagna Pumsha. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. I am also trying.
Thank you.
Nasham Varur Bonanatma Bhubi Sprik Purim Imam Vira Varena Shakam Arhashi Alankartam Adabhra Karmana Lokam Param Sri Eva Yagna Pumsa. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Balaji. Anybody else? Today we are missing. Anybody else, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I try, please?
Sure.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nasamvaror Vanyatama Bhuvi Sprik Purim Imam Vira Varena Sakam Arhasya Lankartum Adabhra Karmana Lokam Param Shir Eva Yagna Pumsa. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Balaji. Anybody else? Otherwise, we go to synonyms. Anybody would like to do the synonyms?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you.
Synonyms. Na, not, are some of these. Bharodu, O most fortunate one. Anyatma, anyone. Bhubisprik, touching the ground. Purim, city. Imam, this. Veera Varena, the great hero. Sakam, along with Arhasi. You deserve. Alankartum, to decorate. Adabhra, glorious. Karmana, whose activities. Lokam, world. Param, transcendental. Sri, the goddess of fortune, Eva, like Yagna Pumsha, with the enjoyer of all Yagnas. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Anybody would like to read the translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I'll try.
Thank you.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. O greatly fortunate one, it appears that you are none of the women I have mentioned, because I see that your feet are touching the ground. But if you are some woman of this planet, you can, like the goddess of fortune, who, accompanied by Lord Vishnu, increases the beauty of the Vaikuntha planets, also increase the beauty of this city by associating with me. You should understand that I am a great hero and a very powerful king on this planet.
Thank you, Mataji. I'll read the purpose. Thank you. Purpose by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There is a difference between demonic mentality and devotional mentality. Devotees know perfectly well that the god of fortune, who is the constant companion of Vishnu or Narayana, cannot be enjoyed by a living entity. This higher sense of understanding is called Krishna consciousness. Nonetheless, everyone wants to become happy by imitating the prosperity of Narayana. In this verse, Puranjana states that the girl appears to be an ordinary woman. However, since he is attracted by her, he requests that she become as happy as the god of fortune by associating with him. Thus, he introduces himself as a great king with great influence, so that she might accept him as her husband and be as happy as the goddess of fortune. To desire to enjoy this material world as a subordinate of the supreme personal Godhead is godly. The demons, however, want to enjoy this material world without considering the supreme personal Godhead. This is the difference between a demon and a demigod. The word bhuvi spraka mentioned in this verse is very significant. When the demigods sometimes come to this planet, they do not touch the ground. Puranjana could understand that this girl did not belong to the transcendental world or the higher planetary system because her feet were touching the ground. Since every woman in this world wants her husband to be very influential, rich and powerful, Puranjana, to seduce the girl, introduced himself as such a personality. In the material world, whether one be a man or a woman, one wants to enjoy. A man wants to enjoy a beautiful woman, and a woman wants to enjoy a powerful, opulent man. Every living entity who possesses such material desires is called Purusha or enjoyer. Superficially, it appears that the woman is the enjoyed and the man is the enjoyer. But internally, everyone is enjoyer. Consequently, everything in this material world is called Maya. Om Jnanatamidasya Jnananjana Salakya Chaksharavitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishnapstaya Bhutale Srimati Kamakrisha Goswami Nami. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishnapstaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Chari Vishesha Shunivadi Paschati Vistani. So this is a continuation of the description of how Puranjana became enamored by these women who was loitering in the garden. Just a bit of a recap. I think we have covered this quite frequently by the previous speakers, but just for continuity, I just like to recap a little bit. So in the previous chapter, we saw that King Parishad, his 10 sons were fortunately were blessed by Lord Shiva himself, and he gave them the Rudra Gita. They were very fortunate, and then by following the instruction of Lord Shiva, they went to Yamuna and did tapasya for 10,000 years under the water. So while they're undergoing the tapasya, their father, King Parishad, started doing yagna, yagna sacrifice, as instructed in Karmakand section of the Vedas. He was so engrossed in this that he was sacrificing so many animals. And because the great mercy of Nanda Vraja came to him to instruct him about the characteristics of a pure devotee. But because the king was so much engrossed in material life, Naraji devised an indirect method of fishing. We have already, in the previous speakers, given a very nice description how Narad Muni is so amazingly strategies in preaching. He adopted different strategies for different people. And in this case, we see because the king was so much engrossed in sacrifice, Naraji instructed him indirectly in the story of the Puranjana. The Puranjana is like allegorical story. Allegorical story is something like fictitious story, but with a deep political or spiritual significance. So here, Narad Muni is instructing the king about Puranjana, how Puranjana is a great king. He was running throughout the world, and he came to the southern part of India, and he came to land of Bharatvarsha. And there he entered this beautiful city with nice gardens and he suddenly encounters this woman who's just loitering without any, doesn't seem to behave without any purpose. And he was really enamored by her beauty. So in this verse, we see Naraji is giving a story of Puranjana to king. The king himself is not realizing it's a story about him and all the living entities. The Puranjana is the living entity whose intelligence is misled, is impure. And because the intelligence is represented by the woman, he gets so much attracted to her. He starts introducing him as a great king, a great hero, to some sort of trying to seduce her to become his wife. So very, very descriptive, very graphic description of the women and how the king Puranjana got attracted. So in this verse, we sometimes wonder how in Bhagavatam, it's pure devotion. The pure devotion is described. We have such description, graphic description of the women's adornment. But we can understand that because Narad Muni is a pure devotee of the Lord, he is Tikal Gyani. He is transcendental. He knows past, present, future, and he knows exactly how to rescue material people from the clutches of Maya and put them back on track to go back to Godhead. So he understands the psychology of the king, and he is giving this description in a very graphic way. Some of the devotees and acharyas are very, very fast-seeing, and they can just understand the mentality of the person they are speaking to, and they can see through them. And then they give the right dose of medicine, the right person, so they can come to the platform devotion service. So in my case, my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Dhammakrishna Goswami Maharaj, he was also very perceptive. Some of the devotees said here, like X-ray eyes, somebody comes in front of him, he can see through them what are the good points, what are the shortfalls, and he will preach them accordingly to bring them to the platform of devotional service. So Narad Muni is so well versed with all the psychology of the material life, especially between man and woman. He is giving this description to the king, but the king himself is not aware that he's talking about him. So sometimes how the preacher comes to know all these different topics of man-woman relationship. We have an example in the great debate between Mandan Mishra and Sankaracharya of so many centuries back. Mandan Mishra was a big scholar, he's a Mayavadi scholar, but he was more in karmakana activities. And he did not agree with Sankaracharya's preaching of monism. So he wanted to debate with him and defeat him. So Sankaracharya and Mandan Mishra, the great scholar, full of Vedic literature, they had a big debate. And his Mandan Mishra's wife also was a great scholar, and she became the referee. So debate went on for a while, and then Mandan Mishra was being defeated. So as he was defeated, his wife stepped in. He says, "So my husband cannot take the defeat like this, because I am also his better half. He also have to defeat me to become successful." So Sankaracharya said, "Okay, I can also debate with you." So the debate went on, but then Mandan Mishra's wife started asking very intimate question about man-women relationship, which Sankaracharya did not know. And Sankaracharya was about to defeat it because he couldn't answer Mandan Mishra's wife's question. So Sankaracharya said, "Just give me a few more days. I'll come back and answer all your questions." So he took leave, and he with his disciple. And while he was going away to his ashram, he saw one of the prince of the city had passed away, and they were going. And then he decided to enter the prince's body, and his disciple kept Sankaracharya's body within the ashram. So the king's son became alive. The prince became alive, and he got married And Sankaracharya, just by the body of the prince, he could realize all the implications of the man-woman relationship, and he came back to his own body, and the prince again died. So when they had again another encounter with the wife of Nanda Mishra, Sankaracharya was able to describe all the intricate relation between man and woman, and all the audience and the debate was all the audience were quite amazed at the knowledge of Sankaracharya. So you can see the acharyas, by their meditation and because of their purity, they are able to enter into all this intricate psychology and able to answer and extricate a material person from Maya back to the path of devotional service. So then Madan Mishra's wife was defeated, and Madan Mishra and his wife became disciples of Sankaracharya. Just the point is that these acharyas, they have very intricate knowledge of all the psychology of the material world. Employee, men, women, children, king, queen, the paraphernalia, the policies or politics of the kingdom. Because they have this knowledge, they are able to instruct the general populace. Otherwise, they might get stuck. We see in the six Goswamis, they were living in Vrindavan. But Rupa and Sanatan, they were so knew all the politics and psychology of the people. They were able to help them, even the internal affairs. Some Pujabasi will come and they will resolve this problem because they have come through this process of understanding the intricacies of life. So in this case, we see Narad Muni instructing Puranjana Maharaj how to extricate himself from this very, very grossly entangled material life. So here we see the first thing in this verse, we see that Puranjana is trying to flatter the girl through flattery. And this is one of the tricks of the material people. They like to, when they are so enamored by opposite sex, they will just approach them and give them so much flattery, so they become subdued by their flattery and the words. So in the previous verse, we see that the Puranjana was trying to compare this girl with the denizens of the spiritual world and also the higher planetary system. You say, oh, you are goddess of fortune, or you are the wife of Lord Shiva, or wife of Lord Brahma, goddess Saraswati. But when he saw that the girl's feet were touching the ground, he realized, no, this girl is of this planet, material world, not of the higher planetary system of the spiritual world. So he just did a course correction. Says, oh, sorry, I see your feet are touching the ground, but if you are some woman of this planet, you can, like goddess of fortune, can accompany me. So the word, Prabhupada said the word, Bhuvispra, mentioned this was very significant. Prabhupada gives the example that when the devotees or demigods or from the spiritual world comes, they come to the material, they do not touch the ground. This is one of the indications they are of the higher planet system. So this is one of the indications, and from this, he understood, Puranjana understood this girl is from this material world, and he started flattering her. So in this verse also, Prabhupada is describing the influence of Puranjana, how Puranjana is trying to influence a woman. Just on this, the higher planetary system, personalities don't touch the earth. It's also mentioned in the scripture that the Buddhists or the people who don't have embodied bodies, they also have a system where they do not touch the ground. I just like to read one humorous pastime of this, the walking monk. He was visiting Fiji, and the sannyasi just walks all over time. So he was in the early morning. He was walking through a road which was sugarcane plantation, and because it was semi-dark, just dawn is breaking. The laborers, mostly Fijian, they see this orange of sannyasi just walking on the path in semi-darkness, and they thought, oh, he must be a Bhuta. And they were very afraid. In Fijian, the Bhuta is called Tiboro. And they say, oh, this is a big demon here, or a Bhuta. And they were very afraid. But one of them said, no. When you have Bhuta, they don't have legs, they don't touch the ground. And they saw a touch on the path of the sannyasi, and they saw he was walking the path. And then became specified, oh, this is not a Bhuta. And they start talking to Maharaj, and Maharaj gave us some nice advice. So you see, even the material world, the denizens of the Bhuta pretas, they also don't touch the ground because they don't have embody, they don't have material body, because they are just made of the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego, false ego. And with that, the subtle body carries the soul, and they go through the cycle of birth and death. So here, Prabhupada is explaining, and also Puranjan is saying that the higher planetary system, the way to recognize them is they don't touch the ground. In also the previous chapter, we saw Pritha Maharaj was visited by Lord Vishnu when his 99 horse was stolen. Lord Vishnu came on the carrier of Garuda, and he also instructed Pritha Maharaj. But when he arrived, he was putting one hand on the back of the Garuda, but his feet were not touching. That's what we saw in the previous chapter. Pritha Maharaj is also another example of this. So now, here, this sannyasi who was visiting Fiji is famous walking monk. His name is Bhakti Maharaj Swami. He visited Fiji, and also I don't think he came to New Zealand any time. So in this verse, by giving this very graphic description, Narad Muni is instructing the king, Prachindra Biharishat, and also us how the living entity get trapped by Maya. The first thing he starts is thinking, feeling, and willing. All this process of how Maya captures a living entity is that the living entity first thinks that he wants to enjoy, or he thinks of some captivating thing. You want to become rich, or you want to buy a car. The first process of getting entangled in Maya is just by thinking. Then the feeling comes, oh, I should possess this, or I should do this. Then because he's thinking like this, the next stage is feeling, trying to get a feeling of how it would be if he gets this money, or this car, or this girl, or these material things. He starts feeling, or you get an iPhone. Because of thinking, he starts feeling, and then he's willing. The next stage is willing, because then he thinks, when thinking is finished, feeling is finished, now you want to have a willing to do the next process, actually possessing. So this process of thinking, feeling, and willing is on a mental platform. So next stage, the living entity actually does the gross, actually body function. So Puranjana is enjoying this beauty of the girl on the mental platform, feeling, thinking, feeling, and willing. So next stage, he wants to really associate with her. So that's why he's fluttering. The way to get out is entrapment of Maya through this process is given by Lord Krishna himself. Manamana bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru. So what if you want to engage, the way to engage our senses in the service of the Lord, then the mind starts thinking of the Lord. Just think of me, like Krishna says. So first thing is, if he thinks of the Lord, then the process of entanglement in the material life is cut off, because we are engaging our senses in the higher purpose. So this is the first step to get out of material life, is to always think of Krishna. Mana mana bhava, amad bhakta, amad jaji, mama skuru. Krishna says, become my devotee, of our businesses to me, worship me. So this is because this verse is repeated twice in Bhagavad Gita. It's a very, very important verse, and is the key for how the living entity can get out of the entanglement of material life of repeated birth and death. Very, very important verse. So here, Narad Muni is giving this psychology, how the living entity get entrapped by the material desires. And here's a very good example of Purinjan. And then Prabhupada is saying, in the first sentence of this this purport, Prabhupada is saying there's a difference between demonic mentality and devotional mentality. The demonic mentality is that one wants to enjoy the external energy of the Lord by himself without using that external energy in the service of the Lord. So, because as I said, when somebody starts thinking or enjoying the material life, let's start the process of getting entanglement. So Prabhupada says the demonic mentality is to enjoy the Lord, enjoy the the energy of the Lord, and not use the same energy in the service of the Lord. Here we see Purinjan is trying to compare goddess of fortune with a girl. And he said, okay, yes, the god of fortune enlightens the Vaikuntha planet by serving Lord Narayan. He is saying, oh, you can really similarly, you can serve me and enlighten my kingdom. But this comparison is completely out of tune, because this King Purinjan is talking about the material life, while god of fortune is serving the Lord in the spiritual world. So the demonic mentality is to use Krishna's energy for their own sense gratification. This typical example is Ravana. We see Ravana kidnapped Sita, Amaya Sita, and wanted to enjoy her. But then the result was very miserable for Ravana, because he got defeated and got killed. So then we see a lot of Hindus like to pray to goddess Lakshmi to get their own material opulence. But then Lakshmi is Sanchala. She doesn't stay at one place, because she's always at the feet of Lord Narayan. So somebody worship Lakshmi separately from Narayan is in the same mentality, a demonic mentality, because they want to enjoy Lakshmi without the presence of Narayan. So then it will lead to a lot of difficulty. We had one person in our Namhat long time back, and he comes from Maharashtra, and he was a big worshipper of Lakshmi. So he was telling me, oh, Lakshmi is supreme, because without Lakshmi, Narayan would be not there. And because he was worshiping Lakshmi regularly, and it was difficult for him to give her the worship. Then I explained to him, Lakshmi is Chanchala. She doesn't stay where Lord Narayan is not there. If you want to real progress in life, and at least materially you want to become more progressive, at least you should worship Lakshmi and Narayan together, not Lakshmi herself. So this is the mentality of the demonic people. Whereas the devotees, they engage material life as a subordinate to the Lord. Here Prabhupada is saying, to decide to enjoy this material world as subordinate of the Supreme Person of Godhead is godly. So somebody is so much engrossed in enjoying, but if you do it in a pious way, as a subordinate to the Lord, he can still be godly. Although it's Mishra Bhakti, not pure devotional service, but it's a stepping stone, rather than getting all the way to atheistic philosophy and atheistic way, enjoying without any restriction. There's some sense of enjoyment through following the Vedic injunction. So at least a person comes to the platform of non-animal, platform of devotional service as a stepping stone. So in the Bhagavatam, also Srila Prabhupada explained that there are two marks, how people can enjoy. I just read this purport from chapter 4, text, Canto 4, chapter 25, text 39. It says, purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to Vedic instructions, there are two paths of human activities. One is called Pravritti Marg and the other is called Nivritti Marg. The basic principle of either of these paths is religious life. In the animal life, there is only Pravritti Marg. Pravritti Marg means sense enjoyment, and Nivritti Marg means spiritual advancement. In the life of animal and demons, there is no conception of Nivritti Marg, nor is there any actual conception of Pravritti Marg. Pravritti Marg maintains that even though one has the propensity for sense gratification, he can gratify his senses according to the direction of the Vedic injunction. For example, everyone has the propensity for sex life, but in demonic civilization, sex is enjoyed without restriction. According to Vedic culture, sex is enjoyed under Vedic instruction. Thus, the Vedas give direction to civilized human beings to enable them to satisfy their propensities for sense gratification. So, in the Nivritti Marg, however, on the path of transcendental sex is completely forbidden. The social orders are divided into four parts: Brahmacharya, Grasta, Vanapasta, and Sannyas. And only in the household life can Pravritti Marg be encouraged, as accepted according to the instruction. In other words, in the other orders, the Brahmacharya, Vanapasta, and Sannyas, there's no facilities for sex. So Vedic injunction also allows sex life under direction, under instruction, and there's some prohibition. It's not do it anyway. There's some injunction to regulate sex life, but in the for the demonic people and for the animal life, there's nothing like Pravritti Marg or Nivritti Marg. Nivritti Marg is completely transcendental. There's no where sex life is completely forbidden. But in the Pravritti Marg, which is a progressive mark under the Vedic instruction, the sex life is allowed under certain rules and regulation. So here the demonic people, they do not follow either of the path. They are more animalistic. As we see in the current situation, current affairs, current world, there's no injunction. They follow what they like. So it's completely unacceptable according to the Vedic system. So Narad Muni is instructing the Parinjana Maharaj, King Parinjana, to get out of this. But he's doing indirectly. He says, all these propensities will entangle you in a life of birth and death, in a material life, and there will be no progress. So he's preaching indirectly. So Pravritti Marg, but then Prabhupada is saying, if somebody will enjoy it, this is they can do so, but it's as a subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and it can be godly. But this is not the ultimate path. Ultimate path is complete renunciation and complete surrender to the Lord. So this Pravritti Marg has some prohibition, but it's a stepping stone. It's not the ultimate thing. And somebody enjoys within this injunction, he can be still regarded as godly because it's a stepping stone, but it's not pure devotional service. It's a Mishra Bhakti because it does not lead ultimately to the if you want to just stick to that Pravritti Marg, the person does not come to the platform of pure devotional service. So it's this very restriction, but it's still a stepping stone. That's what Prabhupada is calling is this mark is still godly. Demons, however, want to enjoy material world without considering the Supreme Person of Godhead. This is the difference between a demon and a demigod. So there are a lot of issues in the Vedas, especially in the Karmakan, and because we see Puranjan Maharaj is very grossly engaged in Karmakan section of the Vedas, and Narada Muni is very compassionate. He's trying to extricate Puranjan from this Karmakan system to come to take him to the platform of devotional service. So he's doing indirect wishing. Previously we saw, I think, Tulsi Sivya Mataji explained very nicely about the intelligence. Here the girl, Puranjan, is a living entity, represents a living entity, and the girl it represents the polluted intelligence. So intelligence, when used in service of the Lord, one can progress spiritually. But when the same intelligence becomes contaminated, then it leads to downfall and entanglement in material life. So intelligence has to be used properly. If not used in the service of the Lord, one can become very, very entangled. And we know from Bhagavad Gita that the very nice comparison of the intelligence of the person called Buddhi Yoga. The body is compared to the chariot. In the chariot, the 5 horses are the 5 senses, and the reins is the mind, and the driver is the intelligence, and the passenger is the living entity. So in this chariot, the intelligence is holding the reins. So if the intelligence is not pure, the driver doesn't know where to go, and the passenger, the soul, is completely dependent on the driver. The driver takes anywhere. There's no guidance. So intelligence has to be driven by the soul, and the intelligence has to listen to the mind. But sometimes the mind becomes rebellious. It doesn't want to listen to the driver, and then the horses, the senses, become berserk, and they pull the cart in the ditch, and the whole journey become ruined. Just like somebody had an accident when somebody is going from Auckland to Hamilton, and the driver the driver of the car is drunk, then he loses control and he has a big accident. The whole car gets smashed up. Similarly, if the intelligence is not pure, the driver is not sober, then the whole journey of the chariot of the living entity become dismantled. You have big accident and the whole life is spoiled. So the intelligence has to be controlled, and the intelligence control the mind, because the intelligence holds the reins, and the reins are controlling the senses. But if the rein is not strong, the senses are not in control, intelligence is impure, then there will be havoc in the life. So here, King Puranjan is being instructed by Narada Muni to rein his senses, but it's become enamored by the beauty of the girl. Is completely berserk. He's the queen. That girl represents intelligence, and he's become polluted, and he's lost. So Narada Muni instructed him indirectly how he can extricate himself from this situation. A very important comparison or allegory of the mind, the body, soul, and the chariot of life. How I think he also mentioned Katha Upanishad, how this is how this whole psychology of the body, mind, intelligence, soul acts. Very graphic, very nice description is given. Somebody can understand this and become easy for spiritual life, because the driver intelligence is polluted, then the whole thing becomes polluted. If the driver is sattvic and he understands his pure devotional service, the life journey, the chariot can reach its destination without any disturbance. So in this, we can see Narada Muni is very, 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 very compassionate. We saw the previous speakers about his compassion to the other, in case of Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and the Migrari, the hunter. And here is adopting this strategy of telling King Parikshit, the king, how to get out without indirect way. So Narada Muni is extremely merciful. Prabhupada says, without the grace of the Guru and the Vaishnavas, one cannot advance spiritual life. So when you speak, when you sing in the morning, the Guru prayers, Divya Gyan Hidya Prakasito. The Guru gives Divya Gyan, the transcendental knowledge in the heart, and the devotee become enlightened, and you can progress in spiritual life. So the bhakti process is coming through the mercy of the acharyas, mercy of the devotees. The Lord Krishna doesn't give bhakti directly, because if you give bhakti to somebody, there are two things. He might get, he becomes subservient to the pure devotee, and only a very pure devotee can become can control Krishna, like Radharani. But the other reason Lord Krishna doesn't give bhakti to anyone, because he wants to glorify his pure devotees. Bhakti is given by the pure devotees. Here we can see Narada Muni being compassionate. He's trying to get King Puranjan to come to the path of bhakti. So by that process, the devotee also becomes glorified. Krishna says, if I give bhakti, some people or some women might become say, you're being biased. Why are you giving bhakti to them and not to me? So he's giving bhakti through the acharyas, through the devotees, to glorify them and glorify them very easily. We can see in our own life, we did not come to this platform of to the process of bhakti directly through Krishna. It was some devotee or some book or some prasadam that attracted us to the path of bhakti. So acharyas are very merciful. So he's trying to get them to devotional service through this different process, not directly to Krishna. So in the Guru Parampara prayers, we know Yassa Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Yassa Prasada Nadar Gopi. So the one who is very interested in life to come to the platform of bhakti, Krishna arranges a devotee to preach to him, and by the mercy of Krishna, one gets a spiritual master, and by the mercy of the spiritual master, one gets Krishna. So it's very complementary process. Initially, because we cannot approach Krishna directly, by Krishna's immense mercy, we get the mercy of the acharya, the Guru, and by the mercy of the Guru, by serving him, one get Krishna. So they are living in this, going throughout the whole universe. They're going through a cycle of births and that millions and millions, but they do not know how to get out. Only by the mercy of the Guru or Acharya, one can get that mercy. One can come to the platform of pure devotional service. Pramane Bhamita Hone, Kone Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Rasa Bija. The millions and billions of living and going in the cycle of birth in the whole Brahman. But one who is very fortunate to get the mercy, the seed of devotional service, one who is very, very fortunate to get the seed of devotional service to the devotee, to the Guru, then he becomes enlightened. The seed of devotional service is given by the mercy of the Acharya, by the mercy of the Guru, and become very, very fortunate. So we can see by the immense mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are this introduces this process. It's up to us to make it or break it. It's completely dependent on. So this platform of doing Srimad Bhagavatam class in the morning is a very good start in the morning to come to this platform of devotional service. The mark is there, open is, it's up to us to take it or not take it. Similarly here, Narada Muni is preaching to Parikshit Bahad to give this devotional service. It's up to him to take it or leave it. So Krishna, because he's only completely merciful, he gives the option to the living entity because he doesn't want to force. Because in the loving devotional service, there should be love, there should be no force. So Krishna gives the option: you take it or leave it. So here, very mercifully, Narada Muni is giving all this description to the king Purinjan, so he can come back to the path of devotional service and give up his karmakan process of trying to enjoy sense gratification without reference to the Lord. So I'll end here. So in summary, we can see in this verse, the Lord is very merciful, giving indirect instruction to king to bring him to the platform of devotional service. We can see, second point is that the higher planetary devotees, when they come to the material world, they do not touch the earth. Then we see the difference between demonic mentality and devotee mentality. Devotees like to serve the Lord using his energy, but the demonic people like to use his energy for their own sense gratification. Then we see Narad Muni is extremely merciful. We need the mercy of the acharyas to come to the platform of devotional service. Without their grace, without their mercy, we cannot do this. So it's very, very important. So here Narad Muni became extremely merciful to extricate Purinjan from his life cycle of birth and death and bring him to the platform of devotional service. We see here also, we see buddhi or intelligence, which is impure, leads to destruction. While when the same buddhi is used in the service of the Lord, it comes, the living entity has the opportunity to come to the higher platform of devotional service. So these are some of the main takeaways and summary of this verse. So thank you very much for patiently listening to me. I hope there's some substantial points one can meditate on. If there any remiss or any discrepancy, please come forward to give your opinion. And if you have any question, we can take some comments or question. So thank you very much for listening. Vanchakalpadavacha, Parasindavacha, Patitam Pavanibhyo, Vishnabhyo Namno. Hare Krishna. Anybody got any?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
There's such a beautiful explanation of that text, and you have so nicely explained how to understand a person of the this demoniac mentality and this devotional mentality. And from the story of Puranjana, he could very easily understood that beautiful woman, that she is not from this spiritual world, but she is from material world. By looking at this movement, at her movement, she was just by seeing her legs on the floor, he can easily understood and that the status of this woman. So accordingly, he changed his attitude towards the woman, beautiful woman. And the other word is your explanation about the Bhuvi Sprika is so important. Sometimes, as you mentioned with the example of Shankaracharya and Mandan Mishra, this really attracts how powerful they are. By simply looking at them, we can't understand, but by the power of their intelligence, they can easily understand who is actually a demoniac person or who is a devotee person. They can easily distinguish that. And then again, we come to the platform of how to understand this, how this mentality works on that thinking, feeling, willing, and enjoying. This is the basic fundamentals of a human being or a living being. But to utilize them in the proper way, which you give an example with the this driver, the passengers, driver, the reins, and the horse is really very, very important to understand. It looks a very simple picture, but it gives a lot more information to us, thus showing us the hierarchy. What should be the hierarchy of our thinking? If the mind is not controlled by the intelligence, then anything can happen. So it is a question of superseding one with other. When the intelligence is perfectly controlling the mind, then everything goes in the right direction. On the other way, it goes here and there. So that controlling comes from all over the intelligence. Intelligence is the main source and which really gives our right direction, and that comes from the Sadhu Shastra and Guru. So if the intelligence is pure and it is rightly used, the movement is very, very successful. So Prabhupada has given us such a wonderful and vast platform to make our intelligence in the Nibriti mark, not in the Prabriti mark, that you confirm from text 39 is really explaining how to utilize the intelligence. The choice is yours. If you put it in the right direction, you will be achieving the ultimate goal. Otherwise, the door is going to hell. So this is one kind of caution to us to make us perfect understanding of utilizing the intelligence in the right direction. Therefore, Narad Muni has come into the picture to understand King Puranjana so that he utilizes his intelligence in the right direction. Otherwise, the way he was preparing himself by performing severe austerity is not going to help him. So to help him to come up to the platform of devotional service, he took this chapter as an allegorical example. Of course, this is one of his examples, but making it the point strong enough so that he can understand which is the better platform, whether the karma card or the devotional service. So to make him understand, put this allegorical example to give him the right advice. As we know, Narad Muni is an expert preacher. He can change the preaching style according to the situation, time and place and the person. So he took that instrument in the right direction and gave him the right information so that he can change his karma kanda activities towards devotional service. And that is my understanding. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for a nice summary. Thank you. Anybody else like to have a comment? Okay, there being no comment, then we'll close the class here. Thank you very much for coming together.
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
जय।
जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रेस नंद ब्रज प्रभु की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice class.